Have you seen the movie The Dirty Old Man and The Lying Crooked Crook? Here's a breakdown for you. I am the observer. Hope you're doing well. Now, I have a point of view because I've observed something. Many of you saw the thing that I didn't see, but I got a friend. Well, actually, he's not a friend of mine, but he's going to express it in his own words, which would actually be my words, so that you can understand it. There are 2 points of views. There's always a physical view. That's what the average person will see and understand. And then, of course, there's the spiritual view. Whether you believe in a higher power or not, that doesn't make it any less true. Either way, the first view you're going to hear is the physical view. And then the second view, I'm going to leave at the end. I'm going to leave the comments open because I really want to see who is intelligent enough to spot what's going on here and who isn't. I have my ideas. Okay, it may be a little lengthy, but I promise you it is going to be worth it because it will all be revealed, I guarantee you, absolutely clearly. And if you don't get it after watching it the first time or the second time, I will not be able to help you. So here goes.
Well, the debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump should give great relief and reassurance to any of America's global victims who might have been worried that that country could potentially reverse its dramatic decline on the world stage that we've seen over the last few years. Because if nothing else was made clear from that debate, one thing is certain: the empire will not recover. You know, a few people did ask me to do an analysis of the debate. I did watch it. But frankly, I don't see any value in doing a point by point breakdown. Let's just take it as a total. Take it in total as a spectacle of American rot that has reached devastating proportions. The only thing holding that house up at this point is the termites. You know, on the issue of Gaza, which was almost completely passed over, both Trump and Biden said things in the debate that would make them eligible for prosecution for war crimes, or which would make Trump eligible if he was elected and if his policy towards Israel aligns with his statements. And Biden, of course, is already eligible for prosecution anyway and should be prosecuted as a conspirator to genocide. But again, the most horrific and most criminal situation in the world today, the issue which will absolutely be uppermost in the minds of millions of voters, was barely addressed in the debate. They barely talked about it. They just sort of passed over it. If you'd gotten distracted for a moment, you would have missed it. And yet, in even that very brief moment, when they did mention the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, both candidates expressed views that in and of themselves are reason for the U.S. to be expelled from the United Nations. Biden, obviously, for sending munitions to a country that is committing genocide and has been blacklisted by the United Nations for murdering children, and Trump for saying that Israel should finish the job. That's what he said, finish the job. And he acted as if the establishment of a Palestinian state is somehow debatable and subject to his approval, when it is, in fact, mandated by international law. But they treat international law as optional. You know, Biden said explicitly that their funding for the Ukraine war is, in fact, funding for American arms manufacturers, essentially admitting that the war in Ukraine is nothing but a money laundering operation to funnel U.S. tax dollars into the private sector, which, if America was a country of ethics and morals, would be scandalous to say out loud. I mean, again, if you go point by point in that debate, it would be like watching someone vomit and then trying to identify the food that they ate with each stream of nausea. I mean, what should be very, very clear from that debate, and from just the fact that these candidates are running, is that the power structure holds the population in utter contempt. So much contempt, in fact, that they want you to know it. They want you to know how much they hold you in contempt. Both Biden and Trump are nothing but mascots of different power factions among the OCGFC, nothing more. For Biden, he's like a mascot for the neocons. The neocons, the sort of hangers-on of the traditional military-industrial complex, which should show you just how decrepit that faction is. They live in a state of willful nostalgia for the days when American hubris and American arrogance could be backed up, and no one could successfully or feasibly confront them or challenge them. And they're disintegrating as visibly as Biden himself is disintegrating. I mean, we watched whole clumps of Joe Biden's brain just melt over the course of 90 minutes on live television. Trump is a mascot for the newer, globalized faction of the private sector elite, who want America withdrawn from the world, isolated from the world, retracting from the international stage so that they can pursue their national interests in the global south. This is the most powerful faction, in my opinion. The interests of these two distinct factions explains any and all differences between Donald Trump's policies and Joe Biden's policies, whatever differences there are. And in either case, as I said, the population has nothing to do with it. The American people have been successfully neutralized, and everyone knows it. Everyone in power knows it. And it is the tragic reality for Americans that the way their country has behaved for as long as anyone can remember means that the undeniably bad news for the U.S., the news that there is only decline and deterioration in their future, is welcomed as blessed, wonderful news to the rest of the planet. People all around the world watch that debate with joy for the exquisite demonstration of America's degradation. And that isn't because the rest of the world is without sympathy for the average American. No. It's a universal truism in the global south and in the Muslim world. Everyone strictly differentiates between the American people and those in power. You can be certain that the 40,000 Gazans that you killed died while believing that your people are good people. And they died hoping that your good people would finally do something through that great democratic system of yours, that great democratic system that you can't stop talking about. They were hoping that your good people would finally do something to make your government stop killing them. So yes, everyone sympathizes with your people, but they don't sympathize with your people more than they sympathize with their own people, with their own families, with their own communities and their own countries, all of which have been victimized by the United States and will be granted some level of relief by the decline of the United States. I mean, Joe Biden, talking about we have to take care of our elderly. I mean, he may as well have been talking about child care. When he talks about elderly care, he's already several years older than the average senior citizen in America. The two of them arguing about golf. You know, who golfs better? Which is not only completely unrelatable to most Americans, but is absolutely ridiculous as proof of fitness, and even more absurd as some sort of a qualification for the presidency. These are two men living in a bubble. You know, each of them is living in a bubble, representing a country that exists in a bubble. Look at how they're deriding you. Look at how they're mocking you to your faces with these candidates that you're expected to believe will actually wield some sort of independent power. It's a joke. They're making a joke on you. You know, Biden said that he was the youngest person ever elected to office in the United States, and now he's the oldest person running for office in the United States, and you pretend that that's a democracy? You know, they say that the Democrats are losing confidence in Joe Biden, which just shows you how delusional they've always been. I mean, I wish I knew whatever gave you confidence in him in the first place, that you could then lose confidence in him. But of course, they don't mean confidence in his competency, because that's irrelevant, and that's never really been something anyone thought he had. What they mean is confidence in whether or not anyone is going to be willing to vote for a carcass on strings. But that's what I mean. They're rubbing your face in how out of touch with reality these so-called leaders are, how cartoonish they are, because they don't even respect your disgust enough to fear you. They'll show you outright that your so-called leaders are pranks, that the real power structure is playing on you because they know you won't do anything about it. They have complete confidence in the fact that they have neutralized you, infantilized your intellect, blurred your cognition, and kept you distracted and diverted and demoralized to the point of societal coma. Now you know what it feels like to be subjugated, to have shells of men installed over you as rulers. Oh yes, the Muslim world and the global south do sympathize with you, because what you did to us, we wouldn't actually wish on our worst enemies, but now it is happening to you. Either way, be it Biden or be it Trump, American isolation will happen. Withdrawal from the world will happen. And there's going to be the same pattern in the United States that the United States instigated all over the world. Division, ethnic and religious tensions, civil strife, poverty, violence, tyranny, severe authoritarian security measures, on and on. All inflicted on you by the empire of the OCGFC, the patricidal private sector elites that you yourselves gave birth to.
Now, here is the second view. If you're a person who does believe in God or the Supreme Being, then all you have to do is pick up your Bible and read in the book of Revelation, which is the last book in the Bible, chapters 16, 17, and 18. And everything that was just expressed is expressed here in print in absolute clarity. And if you don't understand that, then you really are going to need some help from somewhere else. I am the observer. I'm trying to make you aware of what is actually happening, how you're being played, but not being played, but you're being stepped on. And the ridiculousness that was shown on TV, I didn't see it, but after seeing some of the comments from other individuals, I was crying with laughter because they are really doing actually what is being said, and it's a joke. And if you're not laughing, you just don't get it. So get ready for Kamala Harris and the Beast. This part is not a joke. You're going to see it. Just remember, you were warned. I told you.